little soldier boys went out to dine. One choked his little self, and then there were nine.
9 little soldier boys sat up very late. One overslept himself, and then there were 8.
8 little soldier boys traveling in Devon. One said he'd stay up there, and then there were 7.
7 little soldier boys chopping up sticks. One chopped himself in halves, and then there were 6.
6 little soldier boys playing with a hive. A bumblebee stung one, and then there were 5.
5 little soldier boys going in for low. One got into century, and then there were 4.
4 little soldier boys going out to sea. A red herring swallowed one, and then there were 3.
3 little soldier boys walking in the zoo. A big bear hugged one, and then there were 2.
2 little soldier boys playing with a gun. One shot the other, and there was 1.
1 little soldier boy left all alone. He went out and hanged himself, and then there were none. Good day, everybody. Welcome to our presentation. This is Glenn Joshua Tilio.
This is Julian Bangkale.
This is Aimee B. Mingito.
And today we will be discussing Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. Joining us right now, we have our special participants. We have Shalome de la Peña and Giselle Berdon, who will be giving their comments about the report later. They will also can ask us questions later after our discussion. So once again, we will be talking about Agatha Christie's book entitled And Then There Were None. Before we proceed to the next slide, let me first discuss to you some of the information about the book and Agatha Christie. So, And Then There Were None is a detective fiction novel, a crime novel by Agatha Christie, which was first published in the United Kingdom by the Collins Crime Club on the 6th of November 1939. Initially, the title or the original title of the book was 10 Little Niggers, and then it was edited to 10 Little Indians, and then now it became And Then There Were None. So, the book of Agatha Christie, And Then There Were None, is the author's best-selling novel with 100 million sales to date, making it the world's best-selling mystery and the 7th most popular books of all time. So, because of its popularity, it has been adapted into several plays, films, and even a video game. So, that's it. Now let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so it is said that the book And Then There Were None is a popular book. The question is, what is it all about and what makes it a popular book? You will know the answers after our discussion. So first, let's have the discussion or the presentation of the characters of the major characters in the book. Aimee and Judy.
Okay, so the first character that we have here is Judge Lawrence Wargrave.
He is a highly intelligent retired judge with a commanding personality.
Vera Claythorne.
An intelligent and capable former governess who suffered from attacks of hysteria.
Philip Lombard.
A bold and mysterious man who introduced himself as a soldier in Africa.
Dr. Edward George Armstrong.
A successful yet gullible doctor who has been accused many times because of his medical knowledge.
William Henry Blory,
A well-built former police inspector who was corrupt.
Emily Brent,
A religious woman who reads her Bible every day.
Thomas Rogers,
A good servant and a dignified butler.
General John Gordon MacArthur,
The oldest among all who patiently waits for his death to come.
Ethel Rogers,
A frail woman and the wife of Thomas.
Rogers Anthony Marston,
A good-looking and rich man who drives his car recklessly.
So there you have it, the characters of Agatha Christie's and then there were none. Now let's move on to the next slide. I will be reading to you the summary that we crafted, the summary of the book. Next slide, please. Okay, here is the summary. Having received an invitation from Mr. Owen, 8 people gathered in the mysterious Indian island despite not knowing personally the sender of the letter. Upon arrival, they were welcomed by Mr. and Mrs. Rogers, the servants of Mr. Owen's house. That evening, all got crazy after hearing a recorded voice that accuses them of committing a murder in the past. During that moment, they thought that they might have been tricked by an unknown man. While deliberating, Tony Marston unexpectedly died after choking on a poisoned drink. Because of their fear, they went on to their individual rooms to sleep. Vera later then noticed the strange nursery rhyme about the death of 10 little Indians. When the sun rises, everybody was shocked upon knowing that Mrs. Rogers died in her sleep. Convinced that there must be somebody behind the deaths of the two, Glore, Lombard, and Armstrong looked over every area on the island, but they found no one aside from them. During lunchtime, they found General MacArthur dead of a blow to the head. They then discussed and ended up in a theory that one of them must be the killer. The next morning, they found Mr. Rogers lifeless. The remaining guests then concluded that a madman is the one behind all the planned murders. While alone after having breakfast, Emily Brent was found by the others breathless after a poison was injected into her neck. On the same day, Wargrave was left all alone while others are comforting the anxious. Vera was found dead after being shot in the head, leaving a red mark on his forehead. That night, everybody got alarmed upon the sudden disappearance of Armstrong. The remaining guests, Vera, Lombard, and Blore, then went outside to find a safe space. To satisfy his hunger, Blore decided to go back to get food. Vera and Lombard then heard a crash. Upon checking, they saw the dead body of Blore. Out of fear, the remaining two guests went to the shore only to find the drowned body of Armstrong. At that moment, Vera thought that Lombard was the killer, so she stole his gun and shot him. Vera returned to her bedroom only to see a noose waiting for her. With the intention to enact the final line of the nursery rhyme, she hung herself. So before I continue reading the summary, I would like to ask Shella. Shella, are you there?
Yes.
Who do you think is the killer then?
Um, I'm guessing it could be Lord. I just a guess.
Okay, okay. Okay, let's continue reading the summary to confirm if it was really lore or not. The crime in the Indian island remained to be a mystery until a manuscript that tells how the crime was carried out and the killer's intentions for doing so was found. Indicated in the manuscript was the signature of Judge Wargrave. So the killer, the murderer, was Judge Wargrave. Still a nice. Okay, so it was a nice book, right? Do you agree, Aimee?
Yes, Clint.
And what makes it even nicer is that it has themes that are universal. What are these themes? Can you read the themes, Aimee and Judy?
Okay, the themes includes justice.
It is the major theme of the book. Justice is what the killer seeks
Justice.
to attain. That is why he did commit murderous acts to the other guests on the island.
The themes include justice. It is the major theme of the book. Justice is what the killer seeks to attain. That is why he did commit murderous act to the other guests on the island. That the unpredictability of life and the inevitability of death are shown in the book as the killer starts to do his things. The author and causes of death amongst the characters are based on the nursery rhyme. Bill,
Okay.
one of
Okay, the third, fourth, and fifth themes are guilt, social class, and trust. Aimee, can you read it for us? Can you read the definitions for us?
Okay, so guilt. One of the feelings that dominates most of the characters in the book is guilt. After being reminded of the terrible things that they did in the past, some have felt immense guilt, while some did not mind thinking about it. Social class. While the characters are in the midst of finding out who the killer is, their class distinction has started to matter. Some of the characters even chose not to accuse those who have respectable names and high standings in life. Trust. After one of the characters theorized that one of them must be the killer, everyone started to build trust issues among each other. Though there were some who still gave their trust to those who they thought to be completely innocent.
Okay, so those are the major themes found in the book. Now, we will be discussing or we will be sharing to you our analysis of about the book. Next slide, please. So we will be reading each of our analysis. So the first analysis, this is my analysis, so I'll be reading it now. Never have I ever read a novel about a murder mystery before, so reading Agatha Christie's and then there were none was a bit challenging to me, especially that I disliked stories that feature the many forms of manslaughter and death. Yet upon reading the first chapters of the novel, I got truly fascinated by how the author establishes the characters and the setting. This gives us, the readers, a chance to clearly picture out the general atmosphere of the entire novel first before getting into the much more intense and climactic parts. Additionally, the author's strategy of constantly shifting the point of view from one character to another helps the readers to get to know more about the sides of each of them. When the characters already arrive at the future crime scene, sorry, that was when the tone of the novel changes from being neutral to being sinister. The level of intensity of every scene then starts to rise more dramatically when the killer begins to carry out his evil plans. Moreover, the author's brilliant use of the nursery rhyme as a motif that foreshadows the overall crime pattern helps in building the tension or conflict of the story. The plot, especially when it reaches the climax, becomes confusing to the readers, which is good actually, because that just means that the author has successfully brought the readers into the puzzling story. Furthermore, the author's use of symbolism, like the red mark on Judge Wargrave's forehead, has been an excellent way of leading the plot towards a clear resolution. On the other end of the spectrum, crime as a genre is a unique one as it is one of the few genres, if not the only one, that thoroughly looks into human behavior. Unlike other genres, this genre does not give much focus to the character's development. It is rather more on the progression of the events. More importantly, this genre is unique in the sense that it lets the readers become one with the characters in solving the conflict of the story. Taking everything into account, the novel was excellently and intelligently written by Agatha Christie. No wonder this mystery literary piece becomes the author's most acclaimed book. So next we have the analysis of Aime.
Okay. Okay. And Then There Were None is a very popular novel written by crime novelist Agatha Christie. The novel has been made into numerous plays as well as several movies already. The plot revolves around a group of strangers all accused of murder who will soon meet their death. The story is filled with suspense, a progressive mission to discover who the murderer is, and an interactive plot for readers. The novel will really get your full attention and it will make you read until the very end. Christie's style of writing is such that it breaks all the conventional rules of murder mystery. The novel allows the readers to follow the murderer's thoughts and could not have solved the mystery on his or her own. The novel is written in third person point of view. While Christie maintains third person limited point of view, the character of focus shifts with each chapter, so the reader gains insight to all characters individually. So this is very evident in the story. If you have read the story, especially at the very beginning, you will notice that the characters are introduced first. So Mr. Justice Wargrave was introduced first, Vera Claythorne, Philip Lombard, Emily Brint, and so on. So all of the characters were really well introduced and the author had given enough information about each one of them. I could clearly picture all of the characters in my mind. The author's overall message to society is for the intended audience to know how justice needs to be served, that people who did wrong should be punished. The author also used vivid vocabulary and many literary terms or devices. An example is simile. You can find an example of simile on page 62, paragraph 3. The example is no. The word burst from her lips like an exploding shell. So this is a simile because the author is using the word like to compare how the woman said the word to an exploding shell. The author also used irony to help build suspense, add a new dimension to the story, and shock the readers. Overall, I really love the story and I recommend the book to everyone, especially those who love reading murder mystery. This novel will definitely steal your heart. Next is the analysis of Bangkale.
Okay. I would say that the literary work of Agatha Christie entitled And There Were None, originally published as Ten Little Indians, is one of the best mystery books ever written because of its unconventionality. The moment I started reading the first chapter of the book, instantly notice the author's creative and intelligent way of introducing the characters and the settings. The first few chapters were in a calm tone, but it all changed when the first act of murder was done by the killer. The dark atmosphere has continued until the moment when everyone was already dead. In the last chapter of the book, the reader will receive relieved and satisfied upon knowing the reason behind the murderous act. It is also a good thing for me that the author did not leave the reader still puzzled and confused with how the killer carried out his plan. On the other hand, I would like to mention how brilliant Agatha Christie was for using the nursery rhyme as a crime pattern. The author used of literary device and techniques like symbolism and foreshadowing is also commendable. Overall, the mystery book is worth reading. Let's proceed.
Okay, thank you so much. So before we jump into the conclusion, let's go back first to the summary. Okay, so Shala and to the other participants, are you not wondering how, or I mean, are you not wondering who killed Lore? Because it was stated here that the killer was Wargrave, but he was killed before Blore had been killed or had been murdered. So, what do you think is the reason, Shala?
I guess um Blore already know um Blore already know the mastermind and they join together. I guess and
Okay, okay.
yeah, that's
Nice try, but the real reason is that the death of Wargrave was fake. So he did not really die. The red mark at his forehead was fake. So he was dead. He still was able to execute his plan for Blore. That's why Blore died. And also the reason for why Wargrave did those things is that he was actually obsessed with death as well as enforcing justice because just because Wargrave, a lawyer, was yes, he was a lawyer, so he was obsessed with enforcing justice. And when he learned about people who got away with murder, he decided to lure them to the island and kill them one by one. So terminally he was killed. No, he was terminally ill and then killed himself, like for real, by shooting himself. So that was the reason. So do you have any other question? Do you have question, Shala? If there's none, so let's have the conclusion. So Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, one of the most notable literary works of the writer, is a worth-reading book as it brings you to the suspenseful realm of crime. Unlike the other books with different genres, this book is remarkably interesting to read as this allows you to be a part of the journey of instantly let you become engaged. This is so true. The scene of the front, that is, you become the character in finding who the murderer is. Indeed, this masterpiece of ambiguity to those who have to venture into the exciting world of mystery or crime. So now that ends our presentation. It's now time for our participants to ask questions and give comments with regard to our report, with regard to the genre and the piece that we discussed. Shala and Giselle.
I have a question. Um, what do you think is the difference between thriller novel and a crime novel?
Okay, I think and I believe that the major difference between thriller and crime is that thriller is general. Like thriller can be about crime, can be an adventure. There are many different types or sub branches or branches of thriller, while crime is under thriller. Like it is, crime is like a branch of thriller. It is one of the kinds or one of the types of thriller. Inshallah. If you are not satisfied with my answer, so let me answer.
No, I'm already okay.
Okay, okay. Like what I was trying to say was that thriller was like a general concept, while crime was a sub-genre of thriller. Like it was a specific type of thriller, along with adventure. That's it. If you have no other questions, so can we ask for your comment about the report, about the genre and the piece that we discussed?
All I can say about the genre is it's really interesting. Especially for readers who like mysterious mysteries rather. And actually, I like um, this type of genre because it really you use a lot of you use your brain so much when you read the story. It's not just a plain the I mean the author doesn't only give you a plain like an interesting plot, but you have to work to use your brain to analyze who is the killer and the plot and to like to what they call this to analyze each character and analyze each character. So that's what I like the most about this genre. And with the piece, it's very intriguing also because actually I read the summary, but I think I forgot who was the killer and what happened with Lore because it was a long time ago. But yeah, I really love the piece how the author um um choose the killer because there is really a great motivation to do the killing. And for the overall presentation, it's really good. It's nice, and I think I would like to read more crime novels. That's it.
Okay, before moving on, let's um, re-clarify. Let's answer once again the question that you have thrown to us about the differences between thriller and because I have only given you one reason. I mean, one difference between the two concepts. So I have here, according to masterclass.com. Oh my god, I am so resourceful. A thriller novel devotes most of its focus to suspense, dread, and the fear of a future crime instead of what instead of one that's already happened. While most mysteries or crimes reveal a crime that and then require the main characters to work backwards to figure out who committed that crime. So that is also one of the differences of the two concepts. Lastly, I have one last question for everybody, not only for Shella. Um, of all the genres that we discussed um, in this class, we have romance, thriller, adventure, science fiction, and crime. What genre is your favorite? Is your first personal favorite? I may. Can
Okay,
you
so
share
my
something?
personal favorite, I think it's crime because this genre will really make you turn every page of your book. This will make you read until the very end. I think that's all.
Mine. Well, I would be lying if I will say that crime is my favorite genre because the truth is it's not. I will forever be loyal with romance. I just don't know. I love romance more than any other genres exist, more than any other existing genre. So yes, I would still pick romance. How about you, Judy?
Among all the genres that we discussed, my personal favorite is also romance. Why? Because I love happy endings and yeah, I'm a fan of romance. Short. That's all.
But romance books do not necessarily end in a happy ending, but it's so beautiful, right? Judy, do you agree?
Yes, but I really love how the author structured it, even if they're not meant for each other.
How about you, Shala?
I personally like the crime novels. I mean the yeah crime novels because as what I've said earlier, like it's very like as a reader you are so into it, like you cannot wait to read the next pages to discover who is the killer and how did he or she come up to the plan to kill those. It's really nice, and if I like romance too, but it's just that crime is very intriguing for me. That's it.
Okay, thank you. And um, I think that's it. Do you have any other questions? I may, Judy.
None so far.
Okay, so if there's none, I think that's the end of our presentation. Thank you so much for listening. And Shala, thank you so much for coming with us, for joining with us. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have learned something from this presentation, from this discussion. And yeah, bye.
Bye.